I tell you, it's funny. This is a quick one, and it's Tuesday. We're only not even 24 hours removed, but we are certainly on to the Raiders right now. Disappointed in not winning the game yesterday, but all about the Raiders now. So with that, I'll open it up.
Go first to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Steve. Trent
Yeah.
McDuffie had quite the game last night. I know you guys liked him when you drafted him, obviously, but are you getting maybe more in him than maybe you anticipated when you drafted him?
I don't know. I mean, listen, we had high expectations when we took him, obviously. I think if I'm not mistaken, remember better than me, Adam, but I think we move up to get Trent in that draft, right? Yeah. And I think we were all convicted on what we were getting. What I didn't realize, because at Washington, he did not play a lot inside as a nickel, but I did talk with Jimmy Lake prior to the draft. That was his college coach. And I remember him saying to me, "Hey, Steve, I know Trent didn't play a lot inside. Because they had another guy that was drafted that played some nickel. I forget his name. But Jimmy Lake said to me, Coach Lake said that he could certainly play inside there. So we always kind of had that in the back of our mind. Now, a year ago, LJ was in there more often. But because we've matched LJ quite a bit with a number one receiver, we needed somebody else to go inside, and Trent's been that guy. And listen, he has excelled in there. I mean, you're talking about a guy that plays inside, he plays outside, we blitz him. We ask him to do a lot of things. And so the first part of that is the mental. And I'm real impressed with that part of that and with what he's done. And was happy to see him get a couple of sacks last night, made a good play on a ball that they tried to throw out there. He's just got some really good instincts, and that bodes well when you're playing inside like that.
The pass rush part of it, was that maybe more than what you anticipated with him?
Probably, because you never really saw it, right? But I think a lot of these guys in the secondary that have been able to, when we do bring them and create pressures, I think a lot of them have watched LJ do it in the past, and I think I know they ask LJ questions. LJ's got a real good feel for. You've seen it before in the past when he comes off the edge and he's got a burst, and Trent has a lot of those same qualities, just a natural knee bender. And he can make that corner. When he got that ball out, it would have been nice to come up with it. But he's got some real good instincts, and it helps in pass rush.
Let's go next to Todd Palmer. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Coach. Speaking of LJ, I just, once again, you guys put him on an elite wide receiver in A.J. Brown, and he rose to the occasion, and he's done well against Tyreek and Justin Jefferson. Safe to say he's going to draw the assignment against Davante Adams, and what allows him to have success against these elite guys?
Yeah, well, listen, we'll find ways to get him on Davante. It won't be all the time, because sometimes when LJ and Trent are in there, we're okay with them going right and left. So it's not every down. I think one of the biggest thing is LJ is a physical guy. I mean, people keep talking to me about the penalties he's getting. I'm not always concerned about it. He's always working at it. He got one yesterday that he'd like to have back. Sometimes that happens when you're an aggressive press team, but I would never give that up for what he's been giving us in terms of trying to be aggressive on a top receiver. I just think that's always good for us, and I think he does a nice job with it. The other guys do the same thing. I mean, Trent's been on those guys before, and so hasn't Josh and Jalen. So we'll keep hoping we have some success with it.
Go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
I have a follow-up on LJ. I just, in your experience here and in the NFL, just how rare is it to have so much success against guys like Jefferson and Hill and Brown? And then really, like, in the prism of, it's a lot tougher to play defense nowadays than maybe it used to be.
Yeah. In terms of the rules and whatnot they talk about. Yeah, that's a really good point, Pete. And yet LJ has found a way to be really effective. I mean, the other thing that happens, and you guys have a keen eye for this stuff, so you see it, but a lot of times LJ will be over there doing his job. It goes unnoticed because the ball doesn't get thrown over there, right? But yet he's taking a guy out that's a prime target. And I've been fortunate in the past to have some guys, Corey Webster, when I was in New York way back, we that playoff run we went on, he ended up on TO, and I think Randy Moss, the whole thing. And then way back in Philadelphia, we used to do it a little bit with Troy Vincent. So when you have a guy like that, you certainly want to try to move him around. But again, I go back to Trent. Trent's kind of allowed us to do that with LJ because Trent's able to go inside. So keep those guys healthy, keep them playing at a high level, and hopefully that'll help us out going forward.
Let's go next to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach. Talking to Chris Jones last night, he mentioned just the 3rd and 5 touchdown run by Hurts on the quarterback draw. He felt like you guys were ready for that. What did you kind of see on that play, and just as far as especially just the way Philadelphia executed it?
Yeah, we had something called that we really thought was going to take that away. We didn't quite execute it the way we had practiced it. It was a different play that they ran than we had practiced, but we felt like we would have had to defend it if we had just done a movement just a little bit different. So that we'd like to have that one back, I think, in the execution of it, because I think we could have denied that. We had planned for them to run those quarterback draws in the red zone there. And now, truth be known, let's say we had stuffed it for a yard or two, they probably would have went for around 4th down, so we would have been dealing with a 4th down play. But give them credit, tip my hat off to that quarterback. He made some plays with his feet, and we just needed to make 1 or 2 more plays, I think, that to get us what I would have tagged a nice defensive win, at least from our standpoint, if we could have kept them under 17 points. But that didn't happen, so we just have to find a way to do it in this next game.
We got 2 more. We'll go first to Karen Kornacki. Go ahead, Karen.
Hi, Coach.
Hi, Karen.
Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I could just see a hand waving, like one of those emojis.
No, I just wanted to know, how different are the Raiders after a coaching change?
Well, listen, that's probably well documented that Antonio Pierce is a favorite of mine. I was fortunate enough to coach him in New York. I think he's doing a terrific job. I mean, I was just talking with somebody here recently. The energy in that team seems to have changed. I mean, I know what he's all about. I know how he coaches. I kind of know what he thinks, and he'll energize the team. He's done it. He's done it both with them offensively and defensively. I think they're playing at a high level. I mean, look at they played Miami 2 days ago, and we know they're a real good football team. They gave them all they could handle. So I think he's made a tremendous impact. When I spoke with him last week, I told him I was always pulling for him except for 2 games, and this will be one of them. So he doesn't have me on his side for this particular game.
We'll last to Todd Lebo. Go ahead, Todd.
Coach, I want to ask you something about Antonio, then it's something else after that.
Sure.
When did you see something in him that you thought this is someone who could be a head coach?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. It goes all the way back to when I coached him. He was in my opinion, he was another coach on the field. He was our Mike linebacker, a lot like Nick. Sees the game, big picture, sees little things that other guys, it goes unnoticed. They study the game differently. He always did. He was a grinder of tape. And then when he got done playing, and we spoke, I thought he wasn't sure if he wanted to do it. I said, well, go coach high school football for a little while. And, he did that. You guys know he was a head coach out there at Long Beach for 5 years and did a terrific job. And then I had him for 1 year in New York in 2017. He was kind of behind the scenes, but he was always great at grinding tape. And he has a unique way of he can communicate with anybody. He could be in a black tie affair and do great, or he could be on the street somewhere. He just has a great way of great in relationships with people in all places, and he can connect people together. He's doing that now out there with the Raiders.
And one thing about last night, I remember when we talked last week, it was trying to keep Philly out of those 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s where they could run. And you guys did a really nice job of doing that in the first half. Just wonder how much of a game changer that was for you when they got in those situations to not be able to stop that play.
Yeah. Well, we knew it was going to be, listen, their rate of success has been high on that. And we knew if we ended up in that, it'd be tough. And it was. I think they might have ended up in 3 of them. I know one was on the 1 yard line. And we didn't want to be on the 1 yard line. We needed to make a better play or a better defensive call in that particular situation. But I give them credit. I mean, they were resilient. I mean, we had played some really good downs of defensive football early, and yet they kept grinding away. And when you get in that position, you need to step your game up as a unit and hopefully slam the door a little bit. And we didn't do that. They made a play, and it ended up the way that it did. But we'll move on to the next one, and I know our guys will rally around that.